Heyo, my Planet Coaster friends, Johnny5 Live here, and welcome back to another episode of Coaster Spotlight. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at Krafft Memorial Park, created by Cosmic R5. So stay tuned and let's check it out. Alrighty, this was sent in by one of our Discord builders, and here he says, "Heyo, Johnny, at only over 100 hours of playtime, I'm still a new Planet Coaster player, but I found your channel and fell in love with it, as well as a big mega coasters from the likes of Galaxy and BTH and Combat Wombat. This is my very first attempt at an exploration, so any and all criticism would be welcome. So to quote the description on my workshop page, a small park built around a 4+ minute coaster set on a volcanic caldera a million-ish years ago. Krafft Peak suffered an eruption with an entire side of the mountain bursting out. The chimney was blocked, but the volcano remained dormant, creating a lush landscape with deep rivers and odd rock formations, but the beast was only sleeping and the large crater formed, giving an eerie look to the already spectacular vistas. The landscape was so beautiful that someone had a great idea to build a massive exploration coaster around the entire caldera. Don't worry, the volcano is very dormant and sulfuric emanations are minimal, we think." The park is meant to be a tribute to the volcanologists Katia and Maurice Krafft, who both died in a sudden pyroclastic flow while studying Mount Unzen in Japan, along with the volcanologist Harry Glicken, who is a ferry named after him in the park, and 41 other people. As a teen, I had the opportunity to meet Katia, who had come by my school in Canada of all places, and she left a big impression on me with her love for volcanoes. I hope you enjoy it, Cosmic R5. Wow, that is quite the story. That is really cool, and it sounds like you are also a fellow Canadian. Very cool. All right, let's get into this. Here we are, everybody, at the Krafft Memorial Park. Love the backstory on this one here today. And as a builder, he's still learning a lot of stuff, but the terrain is looking pretty cool. There's some really interesting things going on here. It's very vast, it's open. It looks like an exploration coaster, has all the things I would expect from it. And yeah, it looks pretty solid. In terms of a park, I mean, there's not much of a park here. There's an entrance here, a couple little cabins. We got a little boathouse off to the side, some really quaint buildings. I like it. It's really cool. So, what's interesting is like all these little stilts buildings. You got a lot of buildings that are built on stilts. It's almost as if they're preparing for another volcanic eruption. Everything's built up nice and high to avoid getting burned to the ground. Hopefully whatever is holding it up is strong enough to not melt and collapse. But this looks really awesome. He says it's a 4-minute long coaster. We're going to check it out. I mean, I don't think it's meant to be ridden at nighttime. We will take a peek at the nighttime lighting here. Ooh. Not a fan of the nighttime lighting. It's spotty. It's strange. It's colorful. Yeah, not a fan at all. I would have gone really subtle. I like the lighting here. Little hits of lanterns thrown about. Let the moonlight do the rest. Is there a moon? There is a moon. Let the moonlighting do the rest. You don't need a whole lot of lighting. Just certain ones where paths would be, and you know, men would walk. So, and any back trails or anything like that. That thing is freaking soaring along. So I think we're just going to stick with the daytime lighting today. Well, maybe we'll see. We'll see how I feel after we ride it. We're going to close it down here today without the guests, just so we don't have flailing arms for 4 minutes. There's a look at all the stats, everybody. Freaking 5,000 meters. Good stats overall. Not too bad. And we got Head in the Clouds for music. Let's get on this. All right, really cool. Let's talk about it, shall we? Wow. Some pretty good vistas on this one here today. Now, I think I want to go straight into the feedback of the coaster choice. I think it's interesting that you chose to do the inverted coaster, because that's usually, actually, in my opinion, the worst one to use for an exploration coaster. And why is that? Well, the inversions, I mean, well, first of all, I mean, if you want to get realistic with it, we would never have coasters that were 5,000 meters long. But on something like this, just the maintenance on it would be insane. But because you're always suspended, you're inverted, it does mess with the vistas. You're always seeing this track above you. You can't look off into the distance because this thing is in your face. I feel like it works much better to have inversions, corkscrews, loops, helixes, all that stuff on a inverted coaster that's on a compact ride. Something that's extreme, exhilarating, takes you on a quick, fun, fast experience. And you're, you know, because that being suspended for that long, for this far, flipping around upside down, doing all that stuff, it could be chaotic for very, very long time. This is just too extreme for too much length. Whereas if you have a giga coaster, you can just have it flying down, then going up and banking around, and you could just kind of cruise along. And that's what you would see from, you know, Galcian and Combat Wombat. They tend to choose single rail coasters, giga coasters, all that sort of thing, because it's much easier to control. And an exploration coaster isn't all about the flips, the tricks, and all of that jazz. It's really about the exploration. And when you're dealing with a inverted coaster, you tend to feel like you need to add more of that stuff in. And then you get, like I said, with the supports, you're never really getting a good look at things. It's better, it works in some cases, like you can get the low riding like this and you can be close to the water, but if you're doing that, I would expect some splashes to come up as you're cruising by, you know, some ripples and stuff. I think it works in some aspects, like we're running around this riverbed, but generally speaking, 80% of the experience we're not really getting to see things. And same could be said with your lift. I noticed as we get to the top there, you have this sign at the peak, but we can't read it, Krafft Peak, because we're underneath it. I couldn't read what it said. So it does you a disservice. But it could offer some really interesting things. But again, like, coming down here, we don't see this beautiful terrain. If we're up top, we're like, holy crap, and suddenly you start getting that vertigo. But because we're here, we kind of feel like we're missing out on all that stuff. Also, the lighting, I talked about that a bit. I'm not a fan of this green. I feel like you could have sold the volcano stuff more orange lighting, more red lighting, more caves, and that sort of thing. Up until the end there, I couldn't even tell that there was a volcano. Or a dormant volcano even. This doesn't really feel like a volcano at all. It feels more like a hill. And if you're using the inverted coaster like this, I think that's a good opportunity to at least show us into the whole of volcano, or what was a volcano, and look down at that. I think in this case, a flying coaster could have worked a little bit better to try and sell us some of these views and vistas if we turn it and look around, rather than an inverted coaster. So that's basically my main feedback, was just a wrong choice here. And I think this goes to everybody, because I do plan on doing an exploration coaster contest very soon, and I think it'll be wise for people to know what it is, what kind of coaster they're using and why. I still do think you can do some awesome inverted coasters. If we look back, I think Tommy T did one, and he did a similar theme. It was one of his first creations. Let me look at the channel here. Twisted Mountain by Tommy T. Check it out on the channel. Type it in on the search engine, Twisted Mountain. He did the same thing, but he kept it low soaring, and I think it works really good like that. And I guess my last bit of advice for you with the lifts, you have it so far away from the mountain, I would have hugged it a little bit more and had some pathways, like actual man-made walkways that take you up and go about, because as we're going up that lift, we would be kind of parked beside it and be able to look at it. Having something interesting to look at on the lift is quite helpful. And the fact that you've suspended it so high, even if you had something there, we wouldn't be able to really look at it. We should have something, because it's just miles and miles and miles of just this, and it's not the most interesting. However, that's all my feedback. I think it was fun. I think your terrain is nice. The trees, the terraforming. The terraforming could use a little bit more polish and stuff, but you did add some color variation in there, some good paint. It has a lot of vistas and valleys, and I think it's a really good start. This is what I would love to see. What rank are you? From a builder, yeah, I think this is a really solid terrain landscape, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. So something to think about for going into the exploration contest if you decide to participate. I will be announcing that hopefully within the next week, so people can start to get prepared and thinking about some ideas and all that. But I think we're going to end it off there. We don't need to do a cinematic. I don't want to do night. We gave a lot of talking in this one. The coaster was quite long, and we're coming up on 20 minutes here. So I think that's going to do it for this episode of Coaster Spotlight, everybody. If you guys enjoyed, please be sure to smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe for more daily Planet Coaster videos. And if you would like to support the show, you could do so by becoming a patron. Links are down in the description below. All right, everyone. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye now.